everyone. We are at the University of Aruba for a detailed scientific look into Aruba and its coral reefs. The scientists behind the study affectionately dubbed the presentation a love story lasting thousands of years between Aruba and its corals. Divers exploring the aquatic life of Aruba are surrounded by beauty and wonder. The island's underwater adventure wouldn't be a one-of-a-kind experience without the corals and the marine life. But the ecosystem is not to be taken for granted. A group of scientists recently conducted a study on the health of the corals within the ABC Islands, and everyone, whether you are a resident or visitor of Aruba, have a responsibility and also the ability to protect them.
I think the biggest takeaway to think about when considering corals and the marine ecosystem as a whole is the delicacy of it. So be it climate change, when we have rising CO2 in the atmosphere, rising temperatures, rising ocean acidification, that plays a big role, but also our general pollution of the ocean. So one of the things that's really good to see is a shift from toxic sunscreens, for example, because that really plays a detrimental role to the corals themselves and how they continue to grow throughout their lifespan.
What you use as sunscreen when diving underwater is just the beginning. How you behave and what you choose to do while exploring the coral reef and while interacting with the marine life also matters.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing again is to limit the use of toxic sunscreens, but also really try to focus on respecting distance to living beings in the ocean. So be that swimming with the corals and not touching them, looking from a distance at sea turtles, for example. You know, all these things play a quintessential role in really trying to let the ocean life be and still be there for future generations.
As Patrick said, you are contributing to the island's aquatic ecosystems by just simply letting the sea life be and by keeping distance. This includes whenever you encounter sea turtles, fish, and even sea stars. The truth of the matter is, the recent findings from Patrick and his fellow scientists have found great deterioration within the last few decades of Aruba's corals. It is more important now than ever to be mindful when it comes to the island's underwater ecosystems, or we will no longer have them.
The biggest takeaway is we need to focus on having or reducing our pollution to as little as possible, because otherwise these ecosystems are going to be gone.
The scientists took a careful look at the corals in Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. Aruba's coral reef, in particular, is at a greater rate of deterioration compared to Curacao, for the simple reason that our dive sites are more accessible.
In Curacao, I think there are a lot more remote sites than here on Aruba. I think the accessibility plays, unfortunately, a detrimental role in how the coral reefs here have fared in the last 50 years. Looking back at studies from the 80s, you can see that there has been significant deterioration of coral coverage on the island in Aruba.
With this information in mind, that our corals receive more explorers, we need those venturing underwater to be even more respectful and cautious, so the reefs and everything else below the water surface can exist and thrive. The accessibility of our dive sites and coral reefs makes it that much more difficult to protect them, but there are things that tourists and locals can both do to limit the impact, such as not wearing toxic sunscreen, not touching the coral reefs or the marine life, such as the sea turtles. Signing off right here at the University of Aruba, Patela Noticia, Amita Yantolu.